call our meeting, our October meeting to order. Ms. Carlin, could you please call roll?
Sure. Okay. Chairperson Villa-Gomez.
Present.
Vice Chair Penn. Ms. Dark.
Present.
Mr. Dara.
Present.
Mr. Fulton. Ms. Johnson.
Present.
Mr. Scales. Ms. Williams has requested an excused absence, and Ms. Wilson.
Thank you, Ms. Carlin. So we should move on to approve our September minutes. Is there any discussion about the minutes? Oh, go ahead, Ms. Linda. Did you have a comment?
No, I did not. No.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Well, then could someone please move for us to approve last month's minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Durrell. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Oh, we need roll call. I'm sorry.
You need to do a roll call.
Yes,
vote,
we have to go.
Chairperson Villa-Gomez.
Approve.
Ms. Dark.
Approve.
Mr. Dara.
Approved.
And Ms. Johnson.
Approve.
Okay, our September 2021 minutes are approved. So we'll move on to the chairperson's updates. I will try to be brief. We've had a number of great things take place over the past month. So first, I just wanted to both commend and then express our gratitude on behalf of our whole committee to Ms. Wanda and Ms. Linda for what they contributed to opening night. So I just was so blessed to hear everything Ms. Wanda had to say. And even though Ms. Linda wouldn't publicly or even personally take credit for the Winston-Salem panel at the exhibit, we really have to praise her. That was really truly my favorite panel, and I think she showed such integrity and creativity and empathy in what ultimately she put there, with a little help maybe from the organizer, but I think she did just a brilliant job in capturing sort of the whole context of what redlining is, just sort of the long-term background going back to the colonial period, and then also the sense that African-American spaces such as Watown have become safe places for new people like the Latinos who've moved in, especially from Costa Chica, many of them Black Mexicans, and have moved into Watown. Mr. Fulton, who unfortunately isn't with us today, gave a wonderful oral history really talking about gentrification and also about our own local Black Wall Street. And so again, I'm just so proud of each of you who contributed. Those of us who were there on the opening, I think we're quite inspired. And I want to thank everybody on the committee who was there. We're getting very good press from supporting and being an official sponsor for this exhibition. So on opening night, of course, there was news media. I believe that Ms. Wanda's wonderful talk is actually posted in YouTube. Of course, there's a website, there's a Facebook page. So lots of things out there. Also, late last month, Charlie Gardner and I and a few others from the committee gave an interview with Mr. Tevin Stinson for the Winston-Salem Chronicle. I actually just pulled it up before our meeting, so I'll make sure I send that out to the whole committee. But the space at the library is wonderful, and those of us who were there that night thought that it might be a great place for each of our subcommittees to consider maybe hosting an event or just gathering a few people in that space, because it could be a good place to bring people together. So again, let me know if you have ideas about bringing people together that you know. I would be happy to meet you and your group down at the Central Library. So please reach out to me and let me know how I can support you. So I'm sure we'll have new updates on the exhibition next month, but we'll be sure to keep, between Miss Linda and Miss Wanda and I will make sure to keep you posted on what's going on with that exhibition.
And Dr. Cynthia,
Yes,
I just wanted to say, if you guys want your group, your individual group to come, whether that is your department at the city, whether it's a church, whether it's family members or whatever, you can have your own tour. We can meet you there, and you don't have to be there with a bunch of people. It could just be your group, and we can take you through the several stations. So just remember that in case you do want to make it special for your group.
Thank you, Ms. Linda. So are there any questions about the Undesign the Red Line exhibition? All right, well then I will move on to our Dr. K.R. Williams project. So last month, Councilperson CPO and I met with people from the North Carolina African American Commission. And so together we came up, we were really inspired with the idea of applying so that Dr. K.R. Williams could be added to the North Carolina Civil Rights Trail. So I imagine that many of us might have known him or known of him. And I confess that until I was asked to be part of this project and encouraged to be part of this project, which by the way, Mr. Tom Flynn, our WSSU archivist, is here with us, and he's been just so wonderful and gracious in starting to help me and the history interns with this. But you know, we have a giant, beautiful auditorium on our campus named after K.R. Williams, but we rarely speak about him. So once I found out about him, of course, I began the research and found out what an incredible man he was on so many levels. So first Black alderman elected in 1947 for the whole of the South since Reconstruction. Of course, very instrumental with the local Black Union for tobacco. He was an ordained minister, Baptist minister. He received his PhD at Boston University, and then went on and taught throughout the triad, religion and history. I didn't know he had been a historian, and then led our school, TC, into the UNC system. So any one of those individual accomplishments would have been enough for most people. And the fact that he did all of this is just incredible. So we're gathering the evidence. And Ms. Wanda, I need some help on this. I don't know if we need to take a vote down the line to see if the committee wants to officially support this application. If not, I definitely can do it, you know, in my role as supervising the WSSU interns. And then I will just add one more thing. the university has received a big amount of money to expand the K.R. Williams Auditorium. And so I think that applying for this civil rights trail commemoration could align quite well for when we expand this building. And we talk a lot about my hero, Dr. Samuel Green Atkins, but I think we should equally be talking about Dr. Kenneth R. Williams. So if there is anything, I'll make sure today to send an email with some of the there was a resolution that North Carolina adopted to commemorate him even. So I'll send all of that. And then Ms. Wanda can help me figure out if we need to vote to approve this. So is there any question?
Gomez?
Yes, ma'am.
Excuse me. I think that it's certainly something that you could have up for discussion today in terms of how to proceed with the application.
Okay.
If the AAHI committee decides that it would be a good idea to indeed endorse that application, I think that today it would be a very appropriate time for them to discuss that and to move forward with the recommendation.
Thank you for that clarification. The application is due on the 31st of this month, and it's a very manageable application. I am having my 3 interns look at it and think about it, and Mr. Flynn says that even though there are already 290 items online from our archive related to Dr. Williams, Chancellor Williams, we also have about 4 boxes of artifacts and writings that the interns are going to look through that we might add to the application. But I also think that he could be somebody down the line that we could highlight for what the committee is doing. And I can also work with Ms. Penn since she's our education sub-chair. But let us discuss this, if it would be the wish of the committee to officially support. Do you have an interest in supporting this project?
And so, Chair Gomez, just to be clear, today it would be a matter of the committee authorizing, or I guess authorizing the endorsement of the AAHI in support of submitting the application. And then if people want to work with you on the substance of what to include on the application, they can do that. But this would be, right now, the discussion would be whether or not the AAHI endorses the submission of the application and whether or not they authorize the use of the AAHI's name in support of it.
Thank you. So we can discuss, and then can we vote today, or would we need to do a vote? So we could vote today. Okay, great.
And Dr. Cynthia, do you have persons who are willing to actually work on it and do the specific application, the specific information?
Yes, so actually I've found a great amount. Okay. But we've also delegated to the interns who are working with Mr. Flynn to maybe find some things that are quite relevant to add that that no one has seen. So I'm very happy to work on the application, and the interns will learn a lot. And I can also share the application with all of the supporting documents with the committee before we send it, just so that the committee can see and know what's there. But I think it's a wonderful thing, and it's something that we can quickly accomplish. So
my vote would be to approve, yes, to move forward, yes.
Thank you, Ms. Linda.
And I would agree that we endorse the application process, or as Ms. Wanda indicated.
Thank you. Is there any more discussion? Otherwise, we could take the vote. Thank you. Well, Ms. Linda and Ms. Wilson have suggested that we move to approve. So Ms. Carlin, could you call for approval?
Excuse me, we would need to have a formal motion and then a
Okay.
formal second.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
So
I
could
move
we
that
have,
we endorse the project.
thank you,
I second.
thank you.
Chairperson Villa-Gomez,
Approve,
Vice Chair Penn,
Approve.
Ms. Dart,
Approve.
Mr. Dara,
We can't hear you.
Yeah, and I'm trying to get the mute off. Sorry. I approve.
Ms. Johnson,
Approve.
and Ms. Wilson.
Approve.
thank you all for approving that. So I will keep you updated. Is Mr. Flynn still with us?
I am.
Mr. Flynn, do you want to add anything?
No, the students came by. We've got 4 boxes on Care Williams. The students came by this past Thursday just to get an overview on archives in general. And then their plan is to be here tomorrow. So I anticipate there being lots of photos and some letters found. It'll be interesting. We'll see. I don't know.
Definitely will be interesting. Thank you so much.
Of course.
So I'll move on to our last 2 items. My spring urban history course is officially in the books now for students, not just history majors, but students of all backgrounds to take this course, which has an embedded service project on Winston-Salem that's been in the books since probably the 60s. So I'm going to have up to 35 students. And I mentioned this last month. I'll send out another reminder, but if at some point we should discuss whether or not the committee wants to be officially aligned to this, I think that we could accomplish a great deal with the students from the service learning project. And I also want to have students who are not history majors being involved in our wonderful project. So it would also be great if each one of you might come in and Zoom. The class will meet twice a week through Zoom. So it would be great if each one of you could come in and just discuss your own history and your subcommittee work. But I definitely hope that I can work with each of you to design something for the students that could help your subcommittee work so that I can help you achieve what you want for your subcommittee. So keep me posted. Feel free to call me in my cell to discuss this. And it could be that for each of the subcommittee groups, if I align a group of students, could possibly give every one of us about 4 or 5 students to work with. And so we can create a kind of mini individualized process for or project for each of your subcommittees. And that would be really wonderful to have the young people interact with each of you, even if they're not originally from Winston. I think it could just be a great service learning project. And then, of course, my 3 interns that I have this semester will be continuing on in the spring. And so I hope to also sort of put them in charge of some of the other students. So we could do a whole lot of things like be there to record oral histories. We could create the questions for oral histories. The students could transcribe. If you have research needs, if you want students to look things up, I can assign research to students. So we really have all of these wonderful sort of opportunities to really align our work with the learning of our students. So that's all that I have. Are there any questions?
You're on mute, Linda.
Yeah, I did just want to let the committee know, someone did contact me for the oral history committee. Her name is Sarah Bellinger. She works at UNCG. I believe it's very appropriate. It's not the history department, but it is a department that deals with historical information. So she'd like to be on the committee. She was going to sit in today, but due to a department meeting, she could not. So I just wanted to let you know she will be coming, and then next month she can introduce herself.
Thank you, Ms. Linda. Is she from the Public History Museum Studies Master's Program, or?
She has graduated, so she is now a full-time employee, but that does sound familiar. Yeah.
Because UNCG does have a wonderful
Right.
Masters of Public History and Museum Studies. So, and they do a lot of work with the Greensboro Civil Rights Museum.
Okay.
So thank you for sharing that. All right, I think, Ms. Wanda, we should move on to the director's updates.
Thank you, Chair Villa-Gomez, and good afternoon once again, everyone. I am very excited to introduce to you two of our newest team members on the Human Relations, Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Department staff. I think that since we last met, I cannot recall if I'd mentioned this. I don't know if it was even in effect. I don't think so. But our department has since taken on the DEI role, in that DEI has been merged with the Human Relations Department. And so for now, we are calling ourselves by this very long title of Human Relations / Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Department. And of course, again, excited about that new role, in that we will be able to look at all things DEI, not only externally in the community with the work that we have been doing through advisory boards such as AAHI and a lot of our other programs and projects and laws that we enforce, but also we can now look more internally with expanding upon some of the work that we had done with LEP and other things within the organization. And so I would like to introduce to you, or have them to self-introduce actually. We have Mr. Alex Bohannon, and we also have Ms. Brittany Pitts. And so which one of you would like to go first?
I'll go first. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Brittany Pitts, and I am the Equity Assurance Administrator for the Human Relations DEI Department. I am so happy to be here.
Brittany, can you give them a little bit of background in terms of what you'll be doing with the department?
Yes, so primarily I'll be here to ensure that the city of Winston-Salem is treating all employees as well as their residents equally, regardless of their race or identity. So I'll be collaborating with city departments to examine and review policies and procedures, and just applying an equity lens to any type of programs or initiatives, and just making sure we are fully compliant with the law, and making sure that we are providing equitable outcomes for all.
And Ms. Brittany, would you mind sharing a little bit of your educational background, where you attended school and so forth?
Yes, so I am actually, I don't even know if this is recent anymore because it was this past May, but this past May 2021, I graduated from North Carolina Central University School of Law. I received my Juris Doctor degree as well as my master's in public administration.
And they may also be interested in knowing where you went undergrad, because that's what's interesting to me, because you have some conflicting interests in a lot of circles, Ms. Brittany.
Yes, so I attended North Carolina A&T State University, the best HBCU there is.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Really?
Wow.
I'm an Aggie Eagle, so that's okay. That's okay.
Exactly. So you're just going to throw your allegiance to the Eagle family away, huh? And just go full Aggie.
I got, A&T, that's the home team. I have to stick with the home team, but I do appreciate Central and all of the opportunities that has provided me as well.
Those of us who are Eagles appreciate your adding that, Ms. Brittany. So thank you very much, especially those of us who are double Eagles like me. Mm-hmm. But welcome to the team, Brittany. You're welcome. Alex, you're next.
Just an observation. I know we talked about gender and race, but among employees, we also need to make sure that all the employees are treated with that same lens and that there's not that uneasiness from department to department with who I am and who you are, and that kind of rift that often occurs.
Yes, and Ms. Joycelyn, thank you for saying that, because as a part of our expanded duties, we are also enforcing the city's new non-discrimination ordinances. And one focus of one of the ordinances is going to be employment, and the other is public accommodations. And so there are approximately 18 protected classes of persons. And amongst that, we include gender identity, sexual orientation, and of course, things like national origin, race, and religion. But we have added some of the newer protected classes of persons as well, including protected hairstyles, veteran status, pregnant women, and so forth. So those are two new areas that we are going to be enforcing, but that is more outward for the community. But internally, yes, we do have sexual orientation and gender identity also protected in our personnel resolutions and so on. So we will be definitely making sure that city employees are educated in terms of what those protected classes are, what that means, and what it means legally in terms of EEO law protections.
But it's the protected classes was also the departmental tension, because some employees are felt to be in a lesser role than another department, and there's that authoritative kind of piece that goes on between some employees and in some departments and others. And I say that as we look at some of the public works arenas, and oftentimes their work is not as important as a human relations department. And I pick on you because you're there. And not that there was a problem, but it's that kind of thing. So I want to make sure that our public works folk, those who are on the ground, keeping our streets clean, giving the opportunity for law enforcement, for first responders to get to a spot, that they are treated as equally as a person that sits in the C-suite in City Hall.
Exactly. Point taken. Thank you. Thank you. Alex, sorry about that.
Sorry.
It's okay. That's quite all right. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Alex Bohannon, and I serve as the Equity and Inclusion Coordinator for the City of Winston-Salem's Office of Human Relations / Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Department. My role really centers around collaborating with the departments on really normalizing the work of DEI throughout the city. So, Ms. Johnson, to your point, providing opportunities for employees and members of other departments to really engage with each other across lines of difference, as well as developing trainings and modules to just educate our staff around the issues of DEI and to really be a convener for that work. A part of my focus is going to be working with what we call our equity core team, which is an internal group of people who are really passionate about the work of diversity, equity, and inclusion. We're going to lead the effort to develop and implement a citywide equity action plan. And so that, of course, is developing right now, but we're super excited about the work. And thank you all so much for allowing me the opportunity to introduce myself. I want to answer because Wanda wanted Brittany to include her education, so I just want to get that in there. I'm a graduate of Elon University, and I'm born and raised here in Winston-Salem.
Do you have another role?
I'm sorry. Oh, yes. Yeah, I currently serve on the Winston-Salem Forsyth County Board of Education. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you, Alex. Appreciate that very much. And so Alex is going to be very much the face of our DEI side of what we do with city employees particularly, because he mentioned the equity core team and so forth, but he'll also be working on employee resource groups to make sure that employees have groups where they can just kind of feel a sense of belonging and inclusion, whether it's based on generational groups or racial or ethnic identity groups and so forth. He will be a big part of that, of leading that effort for the city.
Welcome to both of you.
Welcome.
Yes, welcome.
Welcome.
All right. And so now moving on with the director's updates, I wanted to ask if there was anything that I may need to be mindful of in terms of digital NC. I know that Chair Villa-Gomez and Mr. Flynn were working on Winston-Salem State University's position with the digital NC partnership in order to have AAHI be a viable partner with having our information uploaded and shareable on the digital NC website. So I just wanted to check in, make sure there's nothing that I may need to know about or do, or the staff.
Hi, Wanda. At this point, I thank you very much to Chair Villa-Gomez for getting the contact information for the council's office. I've been in communication with, I think, Ms. Venus Boston, and with Ivory Brown regarding the partnership. And I am currently in the process, hope to have had it finished by today, and some things came up this morning. So hopefully by this afternoon, I will have finished the draft of the memorandum of agreement to send over to them for review. Basically what I did, because Chair Villa-Gomez provided so much information in the email that she sent to Wanda, what I did is made that the basis of what, in terms of resources that Winston-Salem State would be partnering with the City of Winston-Salem's African American History Initiative, Heritage Initiative, to provide as this partnership. And based on my understanding, and I still have to follow up with, I think there's another lady in the office, I think her name is Tiffany something, who was going to find the draft of the digital NC application that Winston-Salem State submitted when they got their status as a digital NC site, to make sure that all those boxes are checked, so that when we formalize our agreement, then there would be no question from Digital NC as it relates to whether or not we qualify. But other than that, I just need to finish the agreement and get it over to Ms. Boston and Mr. Brown to review. And of course, Wanda, I'll send it to you as well, but yes.
Thank you so much to our Assistant City Attorney, Ms. Keisha Red. Keisha, actually, that was a great segue into city staff updates. I didn't even realize that when I said it, but I'm glad that you've been working so diligently on it. We never had a doubt that you wouldn't be working diligently on it. It's good to know that it's to the point that it is now.
Yes.
So thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I don't know if anyone had any questions of Keisha before we move on to other city staff updates.
I just wanted to thank Keisha. Thank you so much for your work on this.
Oh, my pleasure.
Definitely. She has a passion and a commitment, and it shows in her enthusiasm for all the things that she does to support AAHI internally. So I just want to formally and publicly acknowledge that and thank her as well.
Thank you, Wanda.
You are more than welcome. Okay, well, if there are no other questions or comments for Keisha's item, then I just wanted to move on and ask, I know we have a couple of people up here from IS. I see Jackie up here and also Tracy. I didn't know if you all may have anything that you would like to share today.
I guess it'd help if I unmuted. I just have a little bit, I don't have a lot. The Laserfish application that our current documents reside on once they're submitted through the website, that application is in the process of an upgrade. We've successfully updated the development and we're currently testing the development, and then we will be updating the production next week. I don't expect there to be any outages for this, but if anybody hears anything for that, feel free to give me a call, and we'll be happy to address that. As well, let's see, we've had 11 submissions so far through our online form. I don't know if there's been any paper-based submissions.
That's awesome to know, Jackie. Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Did anyone have any questions for our IS team? Okay. And I know we have Mr. Frank Elliott up here, Deputy Director of Marketing and Communications with the city, as always. And Frank, did you have any updates to share?
No, but I'm delighted to hear Ms. Dark say that she's found someone to, I guess she's gone, but found someone to volunteer for one of the collection teams. That's a start.
Absolutely.
And at the risk of saying something everybody knows, but since I know this, talking about, when you're talking about Dr. Williams, let's not forget, I know you know this, but I just got to say it. He was instrumental in getting the first Black firefighters hired in the city, and incidentally also in all of North Carolina. So that's a significant part of his legacy.
Thank you, Frank. Did anybody have any questions for Frank? Okay, if not, Chair Villa-Gomez, that's all we had for directors' updates and city staff updates.
Excuse me. Thank you. So I believe we already spoke about the redlining project. So I believe we need to think about our date. And I, again, forgot to check the calendar. So I need help with finding out what the first Wednesday of November will be.
That is November 3rd.
November 3rd. So we will meet again on November 3rd. I would just also like to express my real joy that we have Brittany and Alex joining us. And I think it's so important what they have said and what they will be working on, and what Ms. Joycelyn said in terms of, I think, avoiding this elitism. You know, one of the things that our committee is very committed to is really the beauty and the significance of everyday people and everyday life. And we don't want to only highlight the people who are the doctors and the lawyers, because everyone is equally important. And so that social justice and peace that obviously aligns with diversity and inclusion and equity is so important. And as Ms. Johnson is reminding us, we need to be thinking about how our work not only commemorates the past, but really will improve the lives of people that need to have their situations improved because of exclusion, because of racism, and all of the microaggressions and real aggressions that are out there. And so I think it's an honor for us that our committee can be now aligned to this larger new new department. And so I'm looking forward to seeing the way that we can collaborate with Brittany and Alex as well. So, so it's great. Thank you for sharing today. So I don't know if there's anyone that would like to share a 2-minute reminder, a 2-minute memory of your life here in Winston-Salem.
This is a 2-minute reminder of something that recently occurred that talks about our history, and that's part of the medical center looking at its history and its relationship with the community. They have an interest in partnering with our committee and doing some things as well as Winston-Salem State. I think originally they may have looked at Winston-Salem State for some media kinds of pieces, and we kind of said, well, you know, that's not where we are, but recognizing the work that the university does with helping us with this project, I think there are synergies that can be brought forth. So I will email, and I've already done something with you, Dr. V, will also email Tom, and so that some of those archive pieces and wherever the connection is with our medical communities, the allied health, not just nursing, the allied health programs that the university has also works along with that whole medical history for the city of Winston-Salem, not just for Winston-Salem State or the Winston-Salem community, but it's all of us together. So I think there's another semi-project that's brewing that perhaps we can get a student. And while the medical piece is not my committee responsibility, whenever we have an opportunity to share the information, we try to do that. And thanks to Ms. Wilson, she did a great job in advertising for the committee during her class reunion a couple of weeks ago. So that was a good piece.
Ms. Wilson, would you like to talk about your gathering?
Well, it was my pleasure to promote the committee. My class observed their 50-year, the beginning of our 50-year reunion celebration on Labor Day weekend. And part of that was included dedicating a tree on the campus of Winston-Salem Prep, which is the former site of Atkins High School, one of the 4 predominantly Black high schools in this area. And we were delighted to have Ms. Johnson join us, as well as other community advocates for that celebration. So we encouraged everyone to share their stories and made them aware of the website and everything. And the Ms. Wanda in her office had provided us with newsletters, so they were included in our packets to the attendees, as well as some other promotional souvenir items. And I thank them again for doing that. And so we are, I'm going to follow up each month in my class meeting to encourage them to go online and share their stories, because as we gathered that weekend, we shared so many memories from things, simple things as most of us always walked to school because there were neighborhood schools then. Very few of us actually rode buses, but when they closed Paisley and Anderson as high schools, that meant there were individuals who rode buses for the first time because they no longer were in their neighborhood. So little things like that that we probably never talked about before came out that weekend. So it was really a wonderful weekend. And we were privileged to have 3 of our former teachers with us. And that was a blessing and again, a privilege as well.
Thank you, Ms. Wilson. Were your teachers graduates of TC?
I don't think so. Billy Matthews, I don't think she is. I know Reverend Robinson is originally from Charlotte, and I don't think I've never heard them say, I don't think so. No, in fact, I know Miss Matthews is a Bennett Bell. So, yeah.
Well, Ms. Joycelyn and Ms. Annette, thank you so much for bringing these issues up, because I think we should be so proud and really inspired by the history, both of education at all levels and then healthcare healthcare education and healthcare to the community. I think that Winston-Salem has some special history when it comes to the African American experience. We know that TC really educated the best teachers in our city. So before they desegregated, the Black schools offered the best education.
Most definitely.
And then desegregation really hurt the quality of education for African American students. And that's a story that I think needs to be told. And then the same with healthcare. I mean, the original, our school that Dr. Atkins founded had the first nurses training program in the city. And then later on, Dr. Atkins helped with making sure that the Kate B. Reynolds nurses training program, as well as the hospital, were protected. And as we know from the Z. Smith Reynolds project on the Kate B. Reynolds Hospital, that hospital, which I believe closed in 71, had the best practices for hygiene and control of bacteria in the whole country. So residents came from all over, Black and white, to learn how the nurses and doctors were able to maintain those standards. And I believe the nurses still meet regularly, the last cohort that are still with us. And so those are some of the incredible, inspiring, beautiful stories that that we have. And I hope that our collection committees will be able to get these oral histories so that we can really tell those stories. So thank you again for reminding us about our heritage, our wonderful local heritage. Are there any other issues before we call the meeting to close today?
Dr. Gomez, I don't have an issue, but I think that I would like to partner with you and your interns. And I think this, based just on your comments, maybe we could do a session, invite some of my classmates to attend the exhibit and then talk about what you just said in terms of the impact in redlining and the educational experience and just how redlining impacted us, because I know I need a jump start. And so maybe that would help jumpstart me just to involve and reach out to others. So we can take that offline, but I would be interested in working with you and the interns for that.
Well, very definitely. Thank you so much. I'm just so excited. I'll be happy to be there and support you. And so I'll make sure I email you my my cell phone, and we can.
Thank you.
Online. So thanks so much. Are there any other issues before we close our meeting today? All right, committee. Well, we had a wonderful and productive meeting today. I want to thank all of you for your contributions and for joining together. So I will call for a motion to close our meeting.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you. Ms. Carlin, could you call for adjournment?
Chair Villa-Gomez.
Approve.
Vice Chair Penn.
Approve.
Mr. Darrell.
Approve.
Ms. Johnson.
Approve.
And Ms. Wilson.
Approved.
Thank you. Our meeting is adjourned. Take very good care, everyone.
Same to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.